Now, there are a few states that have passed laws. Well, one has anyway. The state of New York passed a law effective next July in 2011 will require heating oil to be low sulfur, well, actually ultra low sulfur, less than 15 parts per million. And Maine is close to that. And so as more states that are close to us change over, then that's going to have an effect on us too, because if my terminal is in Providence, Rhode Island, which is where I buy my oil, and Rhode Island goes ultra low sulfur, then I'm going to be forced to as well, which is great because I would like to do it. So the reasons for using ultra low sulfur, there are 7 major ones, and there are many more, but the first one is the emissions are much, much less. Sulfur is a very corrosive element, and so when it combines with oxygen, and of course then there's nitrogen in the air, so you're going to reduce several corrosive elements by 70%. There's going to be cleaner air, fewer respiratory problems. Your heating system will run more efficiently. There'll be less deposit. You probably won't even have to have your heating system brushed and vacked. Okay, that's part of what we call a tune-up or a cleaning of a heating system, is to come in with your vac and your brushes and brush out the soot. And there'll be much, much less of that. It'll be a lot like a gas furnace. Nobody has their gas furnaces brushed and vacked, and this will be the same. There'll be improved fuel stability. Sulfur in the fuel will cause problems for the stability of it, causing sludging and other problems. There'll be a reduced cost for heating equipment maintenance, not to mention your oil tank. That corrosiveness of the sulfur does affect your oil tank and will cause it to fail sooner. Longer life for heating systems, and less damage to bodies of water and buildings due to acid rain. You see some buildings are deteriorating, brass statues and things like that. This will reduce that. And also, believe it or not, this fuel will save you money because of the increased efficiency. Currently, ultra low sulfur heating oil is available for an additional 1 to 2 cents. We did a survey this past heating season, and the response was good. People wanted to use this fuel. They wanted to use biofuel, but when the question came up as would you be willing to pay more, we were mixed on that. There were a few people that said yes we would, but the majority was in the fence. It was a maybe for them. So hopefully what will happen is that as this movement gains momentum, that there'll be ultra low sulfur heating oil available, and we won't even have to think about it, and there won't be this price differential because of the economies of scale. Rather than making 2 products, they're going to make 1, and so that product will be made more cheaply in the same range as we're currently making our high sulfur heating oil. So if by July of 2013 we manage to get a 5% biofuel blend and we get ultra low sulfur heating oil, we're going to be in the same area as natural gas as far as our emissions. So that's pretty clean. Of course, you've seen their ads and how clean that their product is, and we'll be in that same category. I can't tell you that it will be exactly, but it's going to be pretty close. I'm going to take a couple of minutes to talk about financing these fun toys, as well as a new heating system. One thing that you can do is go to your bank. I just spoke with some bankers recently. Rates are pretty favorable, somewhere in the vicinity of 5%. If you were going to say refinance, if you were going to do an energy loan, 5%. Equity loan, same, borrowing against the value of your house. There is something pretty interesting, though, that if you are income eligible, you can get a mass housing loan that would work pretty much the same way. that they'll cover, they'll write the loan for your local bank for 0, 3, or 5%, so that you can upgrade your heating system. So, you know, if you're having a problem, there's not enough equity in your house, you know, talk to your banker about that. That may be a possibility for you. Let's see, equity, I guess I covered what the banks can do for you. There is also a program called Mass Save. There are some brochures available. I left them out at the circulation desk. They look like this. They'll give you some basic information about the Mass Save program. It's not, there's no income eligibility there. You only have to be an N-Star or a National Grid customer. And to contact them, well, what you want to do is start by contacting them and get an energy audit done. That's where it all starts. They'll come in and do an evaluation of your home and the situation, and they have plenty of things to offer you. So if you call them or go online to masssave.com, you can get the process started, but they have incentives and loans for heating and cooling, and you can get $1,000 rebate on the installation of a Energy Star rated system. You can also get low interest loans for upgrading. And lastly, for people who are income eligible, there is the Fuel Assistance Program. They have money to replace systems in dire need of replacement on a case-by-case basis, and as they do have money, their phone number is there for you. And if paying for a system is difficult, paying for heating oil is difficult, I would suggest you call them. When we were talking about the oil line law, they will also pay for oil lines that need to be upgraded for people who are income eligible. So these are ways that you can finance, you know, these improvements to your heating system. And one last thing I'd like to mention in John's presentation is that Mass Save has a $25 rebate on installing a programmable thermostat. I'd like to say just briefly that there are very few oil heating systems that qualify for the 90%. These are condensing type units, and there are very few companies that will make them and stand behind them because of the corrosiveness of the exhaust at that low a temperature. You'll see that these have PVC pipes going out the wall. Works fine for gas, for oil not so fine. And if we can get the sulfur out, I think we'll see better warranties on these. Currently, the best warranty you can get for one of these things is 12 years from a company from Germany called Badurus. There's a company in the US, I don't think they're manufactured here, but there's a Peerless product that the Pinnacle is also a condensing unit, would qualify. I think it's rated at 93%, but they don't mention much about the warranty. So until we get the sulfur out, I think condensing units are probably not too practical. And there's a movement to try to tie this energy tax credit into the Energy Star rating that currently the Mass Save people use, which would be 85% or better for a hydronic oil-fired hot water unit. Currently, we can get very close with some of the units we put in the 87, 88% range. So we're just shy of 90%, doesn't quite qualify.